In a world where magic reigns supreme and each person is born with a magic seal that determines his or her magical powers, there is one hero who has been born with 3 such seals. His name was Gaius, the seal of creation, power, and rapid firing. All of these seals, which he has mastered, have given him incredible strength that he can even slay the greatest of demons with a single slash. However, Gaius is a perfectionist and cannot stand the fact that he doesn't have the final seal which could help him in close combat. Finding no solution to obtain the seal, since the seals obtained at birth cannot be replaced, Gaius comes up with a plan. After slaying his final opponent, he uses the full extent of his powers from his seals and proceeds to obliterate himself using his own powers, promising with his final breath to return back reincarnated into the world with the seal that he held so dear to himself. Several thousand years later, as promised, Gaius is born again as Matthias Hildesheimer, a son of a famous magic caster named Castor. Yep, the caster's name is Castor. As Matthias grew older, he comes to realize that the seal he held so dear to him, the seal that he relinquished his absolute Chad life for, was actually considered a seal of failure and useless in the world for some reason. As Matthias leaves home in hopes to get admitted to the Second Royal Academy in the capital, he travels alongside a man who gives him a ride. On the way, they get attacked by a monster that lives in the surrounding area, a monster that doesn't take more than a swing for Matthias to defeat. Once he reaches the capital, our overpowered hero casually makes his way to the local blacksmith. There, he notices a girl pleading with the blacksmith to create a sword with an enchanted magic stone within the next few hours. The blacksmith argues that it's literally impossible to do such a thing. Wanting to test the limits of the seal, Matthias pops up in between the conversation, offering his help. The blacksmith is amused at the kid's overconfidence and, despite his reservations, agrees to make the sword, which would be enchanted by Matthias afterward. The girl introduces herself as Alma, who was there to make the sword for her friend Luri. Luri arrives at the place as well, and Matthias is instantly smitten by the beautiful lady. Technically, since he was reincarnated, so it's okay, I guess. Luri seems to like him as well, but we're getting sidetracked. Matthias begins the enchantment, and it takes him only a few seconds to enchant the sword. Almost no one believes this, but when Luri tries the sword, it can cut through a table in an instant. The blacksmith is so amazed that he begs Matthias to create an extra sword for him as a favor. Matthias then heads to the entrance exam for the Second Royal Academy, and after Headmaster Edward's speech, he encounters Luri and Alma once again, who were also there for the entrance exams. Luri manages to beat the examiner in the test, as the sword that Matthias had made for her manages to slice the examiner's sword in 2. For the dueling test, Matthias is actually challenged by Captain Guile, the leader of the Royal Knight, after hearing the story of how Matthias made the sword for Luri. However, like most people in the world would, he considers Matthias weak because of the seal he was born with. Also called the seal of failure in the world, Guile underestimates his power and is immediately defeated by him. Next up is magic target practice, and everyone seems up to par with it with their incantations. When Matthias sights up, he is a bit skeptical, as his seal is not made for rapid-firing magic since he couldn't direct the hit where he wanted to. Despite this, he decides to use his powers, and with no words used to summon the magic, he fires up an aura that ends up destroying the whole area of the field where the targets were placed. Naturally, Matthias is selected for the academy, and luckily, Alma and Luri are selected as well. On his very first day, Matthias is called to the Headmaster Edward's office. However, it's not because he destroyed the entrance field, causing several economical atrocities for the academy. He already fixed that. Edward wants Matthias to teach everyone in the academy wordless magic casting. He tells Matthias that the world had lost all ability to cast magic without incantations, and most of this was because of the First Royal Academy. They were the ones who fixed the curriculum for the study and comprised mostly of students who had the Seal of Creation, or, as they called it, the Seal of Glory. Since most nobles and high-ranked people sent their children there, the academy had much pull in the palace. Edward requests that if Matthias could beat the students from the First Royal Academy in the upcoming contest using his magic without incantations, he could prove that his ways were better and, perhaps, that could convince the king to change the curriculum. Matthias, willing to test his powers further, decides to participate in the tournament. On the day of the tournament, outside of the stadium, Matthias prepares himself one last time. Luri and Alma, who are there to support him, tell him that there could be dangerous people from the First Academy who may enter the fight like the magic chosen ones. Matthias has no idea what the girls mean, but decides to use detection magic just in case to read the power of his opponents. He releases that one of the opponents was almost 10 times as strong as him and was giving off a demonic aura. Suddenly, it all made sense. He asks the girls if demons existed to date, and they tell him that demons were a major threat to humanity still. In his last life, he had killed so many demons to the brink of extinction, and concludes that perhaps the survivors must have repopulated and carried out their cruelties in his absence. Matthias marches into the stadium and immediately recognizes that his opponent was actually a demon. He was actually pitted 3 versus 1 in a battle. There was no way Matthias could beat those odds. Psych! It doesn't take the overpowered hero even a minute to reveal the demon's true identity to the entire audience and kill him. Upon slaying a literal demon with his bare hands, or, well, a sword, Matthias is summoned to the king's chamber alongside Edward. The king, grateful for Matthias's actions, offers to make him a lord, but since making a new lord when a demon has just infiltrated the city would just cause panic and unrest among the citizens, he decides otherwise. The king then offers Matthias a double enchanted sword given to him by the blacksmith, which turns out to be the same sword that Matthias made for him. And so, finally, after getting confused, the king asks what Matthias would like to have. Matthias asks for access to the dungeons, to which the king agrees. He seems to have no use for the dungeons and grants it to Matthias, who knows the actual importance of those places. After setting the matter of rewards, the king comes to his point. He asks Matthias to help with this demon issue, as all of the magic chosen ones had suddenly disappeared after the demon incident earlier, meaning that they too were probably demons. Not only this, the chosen ones had been living here for several centuries now, so there were demons in the city. Matthias tells him that the demons would probably launch a full-scale attack soon, and proposes that they create a barrier to prevent any large-scale attacks. The king agrees to his plans and tells him to use any items in his treasury to help him. In the treasury, Matthias discovers items that he had created in his old life. The first sword which he created himself as Gaius, and a magic pendant that boosts the experience gained. Matthias then takes Luri and Alma as his party and leads them to the dungeons. For the first few levels, Matthias teaches Alma to enchant her arrows and how to fire arrows that would literally never miss. The party defeats small monsters and increases their experience, as well as Matthias and Luri literally breaking down the walls to gather the medals from there. After some moments, they decide to go down a few more floors, and still, Matthias lets his peers enjoy the thrill of slaying petty little monsters to let them feel important. After finishing with child's play, he sets up a barrier around them and heads to the 25th floor. The girls warn him that only God Gaius got to floor 24 and beyond, so he must not try anything like that. This piques his interest for a second, but Matthias thinks that it's just a coincidence that his past name matched with their god. He proceeds to jump to the 25th floor and faces the floor boss. The Arc Serpent comes forth with all its glory. It's so huge that it almost covers the entire floor and has so poisonous venom that can melt the literal floor. There is no way Matthias can beat this thing. Psych! Our overpowered hero uses the sword that he got earlier to slice the thing's head off with one swipe. The girls are super scared at what Matthias brings back with him, but at this point, they know they can't be surprised at Matthias's power. The guy had beat a demon before their eyes. The 3 of them then take the head to the guild nearby. The guild goes bankrupt after paying them 750 gold for slaying the dungeon boss? Okay. Matthias also reveals a huge magic stone that he got from defeating the serpents. As the 3 leave the guild, Matthias suddenly realizes that there were 2 demons waiting to attack the town. He tells the girls to distract the weaker demon while he takes the stronger demon head-on. The demon watches as the girls fire arrows at them, which are enchanted with spells to slow them down. The weaker demon goes to chase the girls, while the stronger one faces Matthias, just like they have planned. However, Matthias realizes that the demon is more powerful than he had imagined, more powerful than the demon that he faced before. Surely there was no way he could beat this guy. Psych! Our overpowered hero not only manages to strike down the demon, but also doesn't allow him to escape by trapping him inside a spell. Using the demon's own energy, he manages to kill the demon. The other weaker demon also tries to run away, but Matthias slashes down both of its wings and strikes him dead. There is no beating him. Back at the palace once again, the king thanks Matthias for his valor in battle. This time, even the two girls get to ask for some rewards, and they swiftly ask for some money from the king. As they are talking, Matthias suddenly realizes that there was someone listening to their conversation. He quickly snaps their connection. The king recognizes the voice to be that of the past captain of the knights who had run away earlier. Matthias locates his location to be around 2,000 miles away, and with the medieval technology they have, it would take them over a year to get there. Matthias could use a teleportation spell, but he can't use it considering his current condition. Even a literal god-powered guy needs some break sometimes. Matthias takes Luri and Alma into the mountains and introduces them to Iris the Darkness Dragon. Iris doesn't recognize Matthias at first and threatens to kill him, but the moment he mentions he was Gaius, she starts pleading for him to not kill her. She readily agrees to take them to the location. The whole area seems to be isolated, and the only demon on lookout is instantly killed by Matthias. He uses the detect spell and finds out that there were two demons left, and they were both using a concealment spell. These weak spells have no power over Matthias, who instantly finds the demon's location and tells the girls to start shooting them with the slowing arrows. Upon discovery, the demon refuses to acknowledge Matthias as the real Matthias, since it would take them years to get there, and starts getting a bit too cocky. When Matthias starts showing his skills, the demon uses his power called Atrocify, a special skill of only demons can use that resulted in their death, but granted them a tremendous power and magic before it. The demon suddenly gains huge muscles, and his magic grows 100 times stronger. There is no way Matthias could defeat him now. Psych! The arrows from earlier that the demon disregarded starts showing their effect, and Matthias doesn't even have to do anything. Luri and Alma take care of the demon themselves. Honestly, that's kind of a shame. If I was that demon, I would have preferred death too, being defeated by literal humans. Luri and Alma at that. Sheesh. Matthias actually has planned to take down the other demon who is hidden in the mists. The demons confront him. Several years of demon dominance after Gaius' death has made them so cocky that even this demon starts boasting about his power. After a short fight, Matthias curses the demon with a spell to overload his magic, causing him to explode from the force of his own magic. The explosion uncovers a dragon vein pillar buried in the earth, a giant crystal that can tap into the magic power trapped in the earth. The demons had planned to summon an army of monsters just outside the city. After finishing off the demons, Matthias asks Iris to convert into a human and join them in the academy so that she could help out with flying around whenever they wanted to. Iris agrees and turns into a young girl of their age. Back at the academy, she is also required to take the test like the others, and while she quite literally fails the written exams, her powers in the field are too much to ignore. She literally obliterates the entire field just to strike down some targets. Preparation of the barrier goes slowly, with only second academy students working in the absence of Matthias. So, Matthias suggests to Edward that they recruit the first Royal Academy students as well. Edward reluctantly requests the king to command the First Academy to offer assistance. However, the headmaster of the First Royal Academy, Fachus, refuses to associate with their inferior academy. He thinks the First Royal Academy is too cool to mingle with the lowly nerd of the Second Royal Academy practicing wordless magic casting. Matthias cleverly suggests holding a second inter-academy competition so that the winner can decide whatever their next plan of action against the demons would be. The overconfident headmaster of the First Royal Academy agrees Matthias does not compete, as he thinks Matthias is some king of beast. On the day of the tournament, having no shame at all, Fachus brings 50 students to compete against 5 from the Second Academy, but they easily win using wordless casting. The 50 students don't even get to cast their spells, and all fall to the ground. The king, who had been observing, realizes that Fachus had been forcing his students to ignore his order to switch to wordless casting, and was still forcing them to use chanting magic. The king has Fachus arrested for treason. Serves him right. Facus students, who for obvious reasons did not like him much, happily cooperate with the Second Academy and learn wordless casting. Still requiring a much larger Magi stone for the barrier, Matthias takes the girls back into the dungeon, much deeper this time, and harnessing Iris's magic, the group summon a dragon. Iris is still not quite able to control her massive power, and the dragon she summons is somewhat of a higher level than what Matthias had expected, and it was almost impossible for them to defeat it. Psych! Matthias, despite taking a full-on hit from the dragon, manages to beat it after all. The magic stone that the dragon dropped is the exact amount they need for the barrier to be completed, and Matthias begins his work. As Matthias begins constructing the barrier, the demons attack. They had made the perfect entrance, and so Matthias is forced to let Luri and Alma take charge while he finishes up with the barrier. All the other students from the two academies manage to stop the attacks from the one demon who had arrived for the attack. Luri and Alma, on the other hand, manage to strike him down after he gets killed by the enchanted arrow that Luri fired. The main demon horde finally arrives, but Luri and Alma had managed to buy enough time for Matthias to finish the barrier and come to their rescue. The horde, however, is strong, and they totally outnumber Matthias 200 to 1. Surely there was no way that Matthias could win this. Psych! Our hero does it again. There is no fight sequence, no actions, just 100 demon bodies that fall to the ground dead. Suddenly, another horde of demons appears outside the city after Matthias activates the barrier, but they are defeated by the students with their newly gained wordless chanting. The second horde of more powerful monsters are defeated by Matthias and the group. When the whole threat to the capital is finally over, Matthias decides it is his time to leave the academy. Edward, who knows that they could learn from Matthias instead of him learning from them, lets him leave, but keeps him listed as a scholarship student in case Matthias' adventures get him in political trouble the academy can then protect him from. Alma, Luri, and Iris also are given the status of scholarship students so they can go with him on his quest. Matthias decides that he wants to go and investigate the dragon veins and their connection with the demons. Thanks for watching part 1. I will upload part 2 tomorrow. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video to help the channel out.